were you able to maintain any of the relationships with friends and family that you may have been close to before? And if so, how did you do it?
Good question. So I think I touched on it briefly, but I may not have been clear. So there was a handful, a very small handful that I was able to maintain and stay connected with,
Hmm.
and the only way that that happened was through some conscious decisions on both parties' parts that the relationship was worth more than the differences. And if you're a Christian, or if in any really fundamentalist type religion, that is not an automatically given, right? Because you
Yeah, absolutely.
the most of the time you're supposed to shun the person who leaves, and that's for good reason. I think that's largely a survival mechanism for the religion, that they don't want apostates to be influencing the existing flock. But
Hmm.
but so for a handful of my family and some of my friends, we we just said it out loud. It wasn't even just something happy. You just had to say out loud, okay, we value this relationship more than the differences. So let's work it out. And one of the strategies there can be, or at least it worked in my case, that uh, we were going to basically put a pin in it, and say, we're not going to make religion something that we talk about very often. So we both just
Okay.
make that. We know that it's not a thing we're going to agree on, and I think this can probably work for close relationships where there's a difference in political ideas or other ideologies. It's just kind of, what? We're going to talk about it every once in a while, and that's going to be okay, and we're both going to be okay with that. But most of the time, we're just not going to go there. We're going to build this relationship based on other things, and these relationships, built on love of common people, or geography, where we're located, or playing games or sports teams, or certain movies that we like, or however the whatever you'd base that relationship on that wasn't the religion part.
So
We're
just
gonna
kind of
stick to
taking that
that.
and leaving it alone and saying, we'll
Exactly,
just
and we're putting
agree that we disagree and not go there.
right, and part of it I have to credit the other side, because for me, obviously, I'm not attempting to actively deconvert those people. And
Right.
so while their instinct, because they think that I'm going to, if they think that I'm going to be burning in hell forever, obviously an instinct is that they would want to change my mind. I was able to convince them that they are probably not the person who's going to do it. Like, that the best thing
Hmm.
that they can do for me is pray for me. And I know some atheists get upset or don't like when other people are like praying for them. It doesn't bother me if someone is praying for me. I think they're wasting time. I think they're talking to no one, and that's fine. I don't say that to them because that's insulting.
Right.
But I've kind of convinced them that if I'm going to be argued back into it, it's probably not going to be a close family member or friend that's going to do that, because there's too much emotional baggage there anyway. It's very hard to win a rational argument with someone where your relationship's not built on that. So
Yeah.
the best thing they can do is pray for me. That's what they're doing. They think that I'm going to come back one day, and that this is just part of God's plan, and that's great. I'm glad that they think that, and if that actually happens, I'm also open to that. But yeah, it's serious, and it's like being married or almost anything. If a lot of relationships, uh, you have to choose them. You have to actively choose to want to be in them anyway.
Yeah,
So that's
absolutely.
just that's
Yeah.
that's what happened. And so, but the people who, it's pretty easy to fall away and from the people who you just share pews with. It sucks at the time, because that's your largely is your social connection. But when you realize that really what we had in common was that we sang the same songs at the same time,
Yeah, that
it's
makes
easy
total
to
sense.